Okay, what's up, guys? Here I am. I just wanted to talk about skateboard logos, and there's really no better format for me to do this than with the tier list. And I've made it, I've made fun of myself a lot for doing tier lists, and I try not to do them anymore for the most part. But I did think about it critically a little bit, why I like tier lists so much and why I think they naturally kind of work with the way that I just am. And I'm a disorganized person, and I think I do my best work when I'm just like going off rip. I can do research on stuff sometimes, but this is tier lists are really just like a way for me to vent and just speak my mind and freestyle. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm working on a video about Frog, doing a brand analysis, and I'm actually researching for that. So in the meantime, I thought I would just upload a tier list video for the patrons. Hopefully you guys like it. I'll preface this by saying that I think skateboarding logos are a tough one. For a lot of these, they come from humble beginnings, Probably there wasn't much money or really invested into the logo itself. You have an idea, it's done by skateboarders, they do their best, and then this is what we get. So I'm aware of that fact, but I'm still going to look at these and try to be as objective as I can. And I am going to try to remove sort of my personal attachments from each one of these logos and how I feel about the brand itself. I'm going to try to do that. It's going to leak through. I'm not a computer. But that's my objective with this, really, is to look at the logos themselves and be like, is this a good skateboarding logo? Because a skateboarding logo, I think, has to be cool. Definitely has to be cool. Because skateboarders are supposed to be cool. And, for most of these, best case scenario is a skateboarding company, you're swag for 10 years and then you kind of just fall off. And that's pretty much the way that it works for most of the time. On that note, let's start with Girl. See, I think Girl has a very solid logo. Girl Skateboards logo was not designed by anybody that worked at Girl. This is appropriated imagery from Girl's bathroom. And there is a level of obviously irony to the fact that it's called Girl and skateboarding when at the time of Girl skateboarding's inception, it was all dudes. And I always liked that about Girl. And I think that just taking the image off of a girl's bathroom sign was very novel and funny and original, and graphically it holds up really well. Even though it's not their graphic design, I think it looks really sick. You put it on a skateboard, you put it in different colorways. There's a lot of interesting, fun shit you can do with the Girl Skateboards logo, the bathroom logo. So I think it's excellent. I still think that it's pretty cool to wear like a Girl Skateboards like vintage t-shirt or something. I think the logo is pretty sick. And that's why one of my only t-shirts I've ever released is like a riff on the Girl Skateboards logo, the guy with the third leg, which is, I didn't design that. I stole that too, but Girls is stolen and mine is stolen as well. Keeping the cycle going. Maybe somebody can add a fourth leg. Let's do a curveball here and talk about Brick Underneath. This is Tyshawn's new company, I think. I think Tyshawn is really the main guy, and Knack is kind of the henchman who stands next to Tyshawn and like with his arms crossed. That type of thing, at least financially, I'm guessing. So the logo itself, to me, is like on some fake designer. It like has sort of the same font as like Burberry, the designer fashion company. And I just think that is not a good start. I was really rooting for these dudes, honestly. I'm trying to zag where everybody's zigging and be like, you know what? I actually want these dudes to succeed. And I'm choosing to not be a hater about this. But when I saw this logo, I was like, oh no, this is not looking good. This is not a good sign, because the feeling that I had was this underwear company, and this is underwear, this isn't the boards. This underwear company, their whole thing is going to be about money and class and appearing to be wealthy, and that's what it's going to be. And that's what I thought, because it was like sort of looked like the Burberry thing. And I see someone sends me somebody's story who was sent, I guess, a pair of briefs or two pairs of briefs from Brick Underneath, and my suspicions were confirmed. One of the briefs had $100 bills on it, and the other was just an inverted version of it. And I was like, oh my God, these are so stupid and like classless and tasteless. My mom bought me a pair of, literally, they looked exactly the same as these. I don't even think that they're designing these. I think either it's a coincidence and they're just like the 900th person with this idea, or they're just buying underwear templates, because I did have these exact same pair of underwear when I was like 13 years old. My mom bought them for me, and was like, yeah, my son would definitely like these. Of course my son would like these. It's not a good sign, and I really hope that is not the creative direction for the boards as well, because basing a skateboarding company just about the appearance of wealth and luxury is never something that I've gravitated towards, and I just find it exceedingly corny. Maybe that'll be cool to some people, but I just don't fuck with it. I don't fuck with like Diamond or Primitive or any of those either, because that's kind of the market that they cater to as well. It's not my thing at all, and I'm concerned for Brick underneath. So I'm going to put Brick in row 6. I think it's a shit logo, and what it represents is tacky and tasteless. Let's do Element. Okay, Element's a tricky one because I adored Element as a kid. Element was far and away my favorite skateboarding company, and I thought the logo was perfect. And I think in the case of Element, the company being so strong and having such a strong direction, it looks pretty good with the red here. I think that sort of distracted myself and probably everyone else from the fact that the design of this really basic. I understand what they're doing. It's all about nature. There's a tree. There's like a circular. It's like a cycle. And then there's like kind of those dots which sort of represent the sun or something like that. But then again, when you like sort of zoom out and look at it again, it's just like, holy shit, that's the Element logo. Oh my gosh. I just try to imagine what a person who didn't know what Element was would see when they looked at this, and if they would think it was a good logo. I don't feel like they would. I think that this skateboarders are brainwashed. However, I am a skateboarder, and I will say I too am pretty brainwashed by this. I'm going to put Element in the Immortal tier as well, even though I think it's not good. It's not good, but something about it is so good. I can't explain it. Okay, let's do Primitive. You have a couple options for the Primitive logo, as you do with a lot of these companies, and I chose this one, the P. This is very similar to the Brick underneath situation for me, which is that it's sort of supposed to symbolize swag and like cleanliness, wealth, and I think this kind of aesthetic really appeals to the demographic of men who take women to the mall as a first date, like the kind of guy who sort of wears chinos and all white Vans Era shoes. Yeah, I mean, that's why they sell so much Primitive shit in mall shops, because that's where all the dudes go. They go to the mall and they like Primitive. So I think this was always the destiny of Primitive, is sort of to morph and evolve into this non-specific company that just sort of sells shirts and shit. You know, Primitive sponsors a lot of really great skateboarders. They are enabled to do that, I think, because they sell so many soft goods. I mean, more than I'm sure they need to pay all of these guys like Carlos Ribeiro and you know, whichever McClung skates for them, and Frankie Villani and stuff. The operation is running well right now, but like the branding and the aesthetic of Primitive is not skateboarding to me. It's just generally like kind of low budget streetwear vibes. Like this P, the longer you look at this, it doesn't even like look like a P anymore to me. It just sort of looks like a knife with a scribble. Like it looks like a discarded segment of the Disney logo. It's on the same diamond grizzly grip type swag. So I think it does what it does well for those dudes, those morons who like going to the mall and going to Wetzel Pretzel with their girlfriend. Then yeah, this is their shit. This is like, I'm a guy and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I know I'm a guy, so Primitive it is. I've talked for fucking 12 minutes and I've only gotten to Primitive. Okay, so I'm going to put Primitive in the naughty tier, because I will give a brand credit where credit is due. And like I've said, I think Primitive knows what the fuck it's doing. The concept for primitive is there. It's not the concept for me. I think it's lame as hell, but it's a successful concept. There's no question about it. P-Rod has launched something really, really, really seems like financially rewarding. Okay, I'm going to do the Bones Ones logo quickly. I used to really like this logo, and I think it's kind of cool, but the problem that I have with it at this point in my life is that obviously Bones isn't as cool anymore, but it sort of just looks like it should be for like a motocross company or something. It doesn't exactly have the aesthetic of skateboarding to me. It seems like people in general are just like, don't think this logo is nearly as cool as it was. It's just kind of embarrassing to me to wear like a Bones t-shirt. I think the Bones logo as well has just kind of been ruined for me by the fact that I grew up around an indoor skate park where a bunch of Powell Flow kids were sponsored, and when you get sponsored by that sort of segment, also Bones stuff is in there as well. So I saw a bunch of like skate park douchebags with Bones shirts on, and after that there was like no coming back for me. And those are the only people I ever see wearing any Bones gear. Like nobody seems to like Bones gear at all. Like only the people that get it in the mail put it on their bodies. I think it's an okay logo. I'm also going to put it in the naughty tier. I think that's where it belongs. It's kind of sick, but it just isn't to me for some reason. Like I want to like it, but I don't like it that much. Since we're on that kind of subject, I'm going to talk about the Darkstar logo. And here's what I'll say. I think these logos are similar, and the Darkstar logo does, in my opinion, what the Bones logo wishes that it could, which is that it's such a stupid fucking logo. It is so dumb and out of left field and just beyond irrelevant to anything skateboarding related. Like a knight's helmet, that's what you guys went with. It's so stupid and half-baked and whack that it's sick. The thing about Darkstar is, though, they have this sick-ass logo, and they have no idea what to do with it. Not a fucking clue. Like, they couldn't be more clueless. Like, if you go on their website and you look at their products, like, 90% of it is awful, like, unusable, tasteless garbage from hell. But 10% of it is fucking sick. And it's sick completely on accident. Like, entirely on accident. Like, they have no idea what is cool and what is not cool. Well, they do know what is not cool, but they think it's cool. They are just making absolute dog shit at Darkstar. But sometimes, because the source imagery, the logo itself, and the concept of the company is really dope, a knight, just a knight, it's so fucking hard. They just accidentally make something epic as fuck. So I'm going to put Darkstar in the hot right now tier. I like Darkstar. I think that everybody kind of like, for a while, like last year, everybody was like kind of like, ooh, Darkstar, like what if we kissed? What would happen if we kissed? Wouldn't that be so weird? It was like, oh, what if I got a Darkstar board and a Darkstar shirt? And that'd be so weird if I did that, huh? I wouldn't actually, but like if I did, what would you think? Like it was like that, and I think now everybody's just like, yeah, Darkstar is fucking cool. They're not cool at all, but they're kind of sick. All right. Let's do Anti-Hero. So I'd say that Anti-Hero is the primitive of anti-hero guys. So the thing with the Anti-Hero logo is, like I said, I mean, it does its job really well. What is Anti-Hero? It's like hyper American. It's a fucking eagle in like traditional tattoo style. It's so glaringly obvious who they are marketing to, and they market to those people well. Pool skater, beer guys, curb skating old heads that wear trucker hats. You know how it is. You guys know who I'm talking about. We all know the Anti-Hero guys. The Anti-Hero guys are the dudes that show up at the DIY and they put the hours in. They put the work in. You know, they carry the DIY scene on their back. Anti-Hero skaters are the complete opposite of the trap edit IG TikTok skater. I could see like half the conversation that Anti-Hero dudes would have sitting around is like, they're fucking guys on Instagram. That's some bullshit. It's classic. It's tried and true. It has like a cult following. It's a solid logo. It looks fine on the bottom of the skateboard. They know what they're doing. I mean, Anti-Hero is like one of the absolute safest choices you could make as a skateboarder. Nobody is going to look at an Anti-Hero board and go, "You're skating that?" So I'm going to put Anti-Hero. I don't like the logo that much, but I think that it fits the Immortal tier, no? Wouldn't you guys agree? I think that it's up there. It's up there in Immortal. Okay, let's do Fallen. Fallen straight up 1000 looks like a BMX company. Change my mind. Tell me, like those look like handlebars. It seems like the only thing with less budgeting than skateboarding is BMXing. Frankly, I don't even think that these look very good on the side of shoes. I don't think they ever really did. I think that they were just like the grungy aesthetic of them was kind of hot. Like so they have like MySpace steez. You know what I'm saying? That kind of like blingy era to them. But I think there's potential with Fallen. It's not all the way there. I think that Darkstar does Fallen better than Fallen does. I'm putting Fallen. They're not going to make it. They're just not going to make it. They died and they brought Fallen back, and the only basis they have for coming back is nostalgia. They haven't altered anything whatsoever. They're just like, hey, we're back with a shitty logo. What do you guys think? Everyone's like, no, I think I'm good on that. So I'm going to put Fallen in the dungeon. I think they're cooler than these. Well, I'll put them there for right now. I'm good with that. Okay, let's do Last Resort. I'm going to spare you guys the I'm biased speech because you all know that. So the irony of the Last Resort logo is the fact that they have a logo in the first place because, you look at the shoes, they exist because they wanted to make shoes that didn't have a logo. So, of course, if you're a company, though, you have to have a logo. You have to have some personal identity / branding going on. And this is what they have right now. I think it's okay. I think the Last Resort logo is very reminiscent of, in my opinion, the aesthetic that they're going for, which is like this 90s skateboarding aesthetic. That's how I see it. And sometimes, it has potential for maybe like some cool ads like this photo over here. But I've touched on before how overused the trope of having a globe is in your branding or your designs or anything. Like everybody just has a globe, and I get it. And Last Resort has a very international aesthetic, but it just seems like a crutch that so many people lean onto. So I think it's all right. It looks like pretty primitive. Like you look at the fingers, they're just like sausages pretty much. It does what it needs to do on the shoes. It's not supposed to be flashy. It's there. I think Last Resort itself is carried by the products, and the logo is just kind of there as a stamp. So I don't think that Last Resort is really trying incredibly hard with the logo, in my opinion. And it's not super offensive. I'm absolutely not like embarrassed to wear Last Resort shoes because of their logo or anything. I think that it's fine. I'll put it in the naughty tier with these guys. It's got potential, but I think that where they're going with it, where it is right now, this like cartoonish thing, there's room for improvement. And the example that I'm going to give for this is dodo bushings. So look at this kind of imagery. It kind of looks like Cause the artist or something like that. But this like cartoonish eyeball, like emotive thing that they have going on, like this playful aesthetic, I think this is really, really, really well executed. And what they do with all of their little guys is here, like they made these little guys out of the dodos. It's kind of like World Industries-esque. I think Last Resort has a little bit of World Industries stuff going on as well. That kind of era of skateboarding. I think Dodos does it really, really well. And I think with a little bit more effort, if Last Resort sort of pushed in this direction, that they could improve their logo and their branding and make it stronger and take it to the next level. I think the Dodos logo and the aesthetic of the company is really fucking cool. I like it a lot, and I'm going to put it in the Immortal tier. I think it's sick. I think that Dodos is just a cooler version of Last Resort's branding. So let's keep it moving here. We'll do Flip next. So Flip, I'm sure we're all aware, used to look like this, and now they look like this. So what they've kind of done is like quite literally removed all the edge from the logo, and I don't really have any interest in getting into the politics of the situation of the cross, and is it offensive and is it not offensive. I don't know, and I don't really give a shit. The only thing that I would say is when I was a kid, I thought this was sick. I thought it was fucking really dope. I had this board. It was black and it had the red flip on there. It was just such a bold graphic and such a bold logo that like really popped and stood out. I always thought it was really cool. I understand times change. People become more savvy and aware of some of the implications of imagery. But this is what they have now, which to me is just like a watered down, like sort of lifeless version of the old logo. To me, this looks like the logo that you would make when you got in trouble for your old logo. Be like, okay, well, let's try to make something that's really, really, really inoffensive. Like the same sort of thing that happened with the indie logo is they just were like, well, we'll just write the name of the company. I will say the font is at least like recognizable, but like adding an exclamation point, it's just like, it reminds me of like Real or something. It reminds me of a Real logo. And I don't think that Flip is trying to make themselves awesome here. You know, I don't think that that's the goal of what Flip is up to. I think Flip is like, we're selling boards to anyone. Anybody, don't know what board to get? Maybe consider a Flip. Is the creature board next to the Flip board? Is that one not really your swag? You don't like big titty goth girls? Try a Flip board. It says Flip on the bottom, and your board goes Flip. So, playing it pretty fucking safe with that one, I would say. It's banal. It's boring as hell. No character, but I'll put it in the dungeon. I think that's a fine place for Flip to be. We'll do Spitfire now.
So I just want to point out that, like the girl logo, the Spitfire logo is not original. It was created by Reginald Joseph Mitchell, who was a British aircraft designer. So that's why it's called Spitfire. And I'm just going to say that it makes a lot of sense in the context of what Spitfire sells. They sell wheels. They made it cool. They added a bunch of sick fonts to the logo over time. I think it was a smart choice. It was a great thing to steal, just like the girl logo was a great thing to steal. And I think that it being the logo for a wheel company, you know, it's like airplanes, wheels, go fast, movement, transportation, it all makes sense.
This logo might be tattooed on more calves than anything else in the world. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times I've seen a dude with a beard in shorts, like maybe some tan Dickies shorts, with a Spitfire logo tattooed on his calf muscle. And it's a very tattooable logo. I also like the room for variation with the logo. Like, you can add, this is horrible, but you can add like a lot of shit to it. And they do a good job with the Spitfire logo, reinventing it, and whatnot. So I think it's an excellent logo. What can I say? I don't think that anything really fits the criteria more than Spitfire does for the Immortal tier. They'll never have to change it. I don't think they'll never have to update it. Even though I wouldn't be like amped to wear it on a t-shirt or anything, I can look at it and be like, yeah, that's a good logo. Spitfire's logo is so good. I think there was a time where people were only Team Spitfire back when Bones was making objectively better wheels. I think that people were Team Spitfire just on the basis of the fact that they wanted to sport the logo. We'll do Welcome next. So Welcome Skateboards was just so of its time that there's really nothing you can do. Like, there is no salvaging Welcome at this point. I mean, they played their cards, sold their shit in Urban Outfitters and everything. Like, this is MGMT, like tapestries in my room, tarot cards, witch core, whatever you'd like to call it. This was super popping, and this was like the aesthetic when it was the aesthetic, and this was cool when it was cool, and they never changed anything about it, and it is exactly the same branding and exactly the same identity, so obviously it's going the way of the dodo. And the logo itself, we're talking about logos, I fucking hate this logo. I always hated this logo. Yeah, I really despise this logo, and it didn't age well at all because it was so born of a particular aesthetic and trend that people kind of realized, oh, this is a bit corny. At least they don't put it in the center of their skateboards. At least they just put it on the tail. But yeah, not a fan of the welcome at all. I'm gonna put it in the dungeon. Anyway, at least they made a lot of money, I think. If you're gonna be like a super trendy and on brand sort of aesthetically, and that's going to be how you do it, fuck it. You sell your stuff in Urban Outfitters, shoot for the moon, and when your run is over, it's over. I know the company's still around, but I don't see it being around for much longer. Bronson? No. Let's do DC, okay? So DC, this logo, this is I'm hot and cold on this logo, which is that the trend of when big logos are cool, when big logos are trending, DC is trending. Of course DC is trending. It is like the most logo ever, you know? It's like, I put that shit massively in the middle of a shirt, and that's when it's cool, is when the cool part about the shirt is the fact that you're like, fuck it, yeah, big logo, bitch. Like, yeah, big logo. And when it's cool, it's cool. When it's not cool, nothing could be further from being cool. DC, the logo is very hot and cold. It's obviously like got some like designer Gucci aesthetic going on. It's pretty clever design, I would say. It sort of resembles like something kind of designer, or I could see it as like being a baseball team or something. I think the logo is pretty smart. It's just like, it's really, really bold and really in your face. It's not the most versatile logo, in my opinion, trend-wise, but I think it's a good logo, and I'm going to put it in the hot right now tier because I think wearing a DC shirt would be kind of an epic move, be kind of an epic gamer move, since in my opinion, big logos are kind of in at the moment. Let's get some of these shitty ones out of the way. Bronson. So Bronson, I think, just indisputably has one of the shittiest logos in all of skateboarding. They really didn't try. They really didn't give a single fuck when it came to the Bronson Speed Company logo. They made a circle. They wrote Bronson in it, and they're like, what do we not have in skateboarding? Nobody's doing black and orange. That's weird. Black and orange is wide open. Let's use black and orange. And then they just used some generic-ass font, it looks like, and wrote that in the middle. Why don't they use this? This is way cooler. This makes so much more sense. But no, they put this on everything. Change it. Use this. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Use this. This is so much sicker. Like, everything about this, it makes so much more sense for a bearing company. Like, this just has zero life, and like this logo is just doing the tiniest little hint at what this logo does so well. Like, they kind of added, like, it looks like there's like it's italicized a little bit and crooked, so it's going forward. Maybe that's what it's supposed to look like. This logo is horrible, and I don't see why it needs to be horrible. The bearings are decent, though sometimes they just sort of randomly stop working. They've got a solid team. It seems like Jamie Foy, seems to not mind wearing their t-shirts, so that goes a long way for you, I think, if you're Bronson. But let's use the other logo. This logo's awful. It's terrible, 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 terrible. You can't just write something in the middle of a circle and be like, yep, that's us. We're Bronson, baby. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Even worse than Bronson, though, is FKD. This could be absolutely anything. Like, this logo could be anything at all. It could be for knives. It could be a food processor. It could be for a bike. It could be for a fan. This literally could be anything. I wouldn't expect skateboard bearings. I get it. It's round, and that's round like a skateboard bearing. But other than that, there's nothing there. It's just so cold and like sort of calculated. And this one looks like they look like this is the logo for a laboratory or something that does very official scientific experiments, and that's kind of what they're going for with their branding: speed, precision, durability. But I don't think that that's like ever really like what skaters get turned on by, really. Like, skaters aren't like, yeah, I want my bearings to be like lab precise. Look at this. Ew, look at their branding. It's so ugly. Ew, yuck, 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 yuck. Nasty as fuck. Fuck you guys. FKD bearings, awful. I don't even know what FKD stands for. Fucked? These bearings are fucked. This logo's fucked. Can we get a new one? Okay, let's do Thunder Trucks. So I remember when I first saw the Thunder Trucks logo, I was confused because when I first saw this logo, I saw it on my friend's board. He had Chris Cole Thunder Trucks, and it's like the same thing, isn't it? It's a heart-shaped grenade. You know, I don't know who did it first. I'm guessing Green Day did it first, and this is how a lot of like skateboarding companies start, as they're like, oh, I like that, let's do that. And they don't really think much about it. But what are we on? How many years has Thunder been around? Maybe we could change it up a little bit. They're sort of bordering on being cool again, like by accident, because it seems like, you know, being emo and shit right now is like kind of in. But I think that just in general, like, oh, ew, 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 ew. They like tried to sanitize it and like make it not edgy, but it's inherently like a grenade with a heart-shaped grenade is like the most emo fucking teen angst thing you could make. It's like that in an object. Like, you can't make that digestible to everybody, or you can't make that not anything other than what it is. And when you try to do that with this, it's just gross. This is really, 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 really bad. If they're gonna still use this heart grenade thing, they need to full send it. They need to get into this territory and this kind of shit. They need to get insane with it. But that's the problem with Thunder, is like this logo sucks. The only people that wear Thunder t-shirts are like the guys that are obsessed with the fact that they ride for Thunder and they like doing pinch grinds and front feebles and stuff. There's such a particular type of skater that would wear a Thunder Trucks t-shirt. Horrible logo. I'm going to put it in the dungeon. This version of it is unbearable. It's so bad. We'll do Real Skateboards next. So, Real Skateboards, man. So there was a point in time where Jim was sending me a lot of boards, and he sent me, as a joke, he sent me the Real, because he knows how much I hate the Real logo. He sent me a 4-pack of the Real board with the Real OG graphic. And I was doing mental gymnastics with myself, where I was like, I'm skating this board ironically, and it's super ugly, but I'm skating it. I know that it's ugly, and I'm still choosing to skate it. And I said big logos are cool, therefore this Real board, the fact that I'm skating this Real board, is cool. But then afterwards, when I skated a sci-fi board that had a graphic on it that I liked, I was like, dude, I can't fucking do this. Like, I can't perform the mental gymnastics that is required to convince myself that this skateboard that it's sick to skate this board right now. I just can't do it.
I do not like the logo. I think it's really boring and really, really basic. The things that I've said about it in the past is it's like, looks like Walmart skateboards, you know? Like, when you look at the Walmart logo, it just doesn't say anything other than this is a store. And Real kind of does the same thing. They just wrote Real, and they're like, this is Real skateboards. These boards are Real skateboards, and you can buy them. The same thing, you walk into a Walmart, there's 10,000 different things you can purchase. Real has no specific style or specific aesthetic. You go onto the Real Skateboarding's website, and you can get just any type of fucking horrible graphic, pretty much. They do not commit to any particular niche or particular like subgroup of individual. They just go for the most basic shit, and they try to cater to people who don't really know what the fuck they want or don't really have any type of personality.
I gotta put Real in the dungeon. I mean, it's not as bad as something like an FKD, because an FKD is just straight up ugly, but there's just nothing inspired about the Real logo. Anyway, Volcom? I think that Volcom is really sick, and this was my favorite company when I was a kid. I loved Volcom. I think that the way that a lot of Volcom stuff looked and the aesthetic of their branding and everything was really on point when I was younger. And the logo itself, just the Volcom stone, I think is one of the best designed logos, period. It's so basic, it's so simplistic, but it's striking, and it really well communicates that it is a rock, that it's a stone. When they started putting the circle around it, they just became corny, I think. Like Volcom, true to this. As soon as they added the circle around it, they just ruined everything about the logo, I think. Everything that made it cool. The whole simplicity of it is in your face. It's striking. And then they just added this circle for no fucking reason. And since they added that circle, I think that it's just been sort of like, in my opinion, in coolness has been kind of downhill. This is perfect. Like, this logo is excellent. Without the circle, like, I love Volcom, and I'm putting it in the Immortal tier. Classic all-timer logo. Love it. On to our last three here. Grizzly Grip. This is the same thing as like Welcome, which is that Grizzly, there was a time where if you put a teddy bear on something, then it was cool. Like, oh, cool, teddy bears are just what is in right now. The same way that, like, you know, Urban Outfitters core was what was in when it was in. This logo did not age well. They didn't change it. They didn't update it. It's just like, you know, it's past its prime. It's shite. I'm going to put the Grizzly Grip logo. Like, this is straight up embarrassing. You can't even wear this ironically yet, I don't think. This is just an embarrassing thing to have any part of. Like, people that still skate the Grizzly Grip, like, cut out bear grip tape, I just have to, like, what planet are you living on, man? How do you think that it's cool? It's so uncool. Anyway, okay, I'm losing my voice. Santa Cruz. There's two main logos. There's the Screaming Hand logo, which is an excellent logo, and there's also the original, like, Santa Cruz logo. Both of these logos are really fucking good. This logo version of it is also really good. The issue with these logos now is that they're so good that they, like, transcended skateboarding, and they are like a mall shop t-shirt. In the shop that I used to work at, in the mall, Extreme Board Shop, we had a fucking wall of Santa Cruz shirts. Like, people would just walk in and be like, that's a nice shirt, and just buy it. And it is. There's no question. Like, the design of it is really, really fucking cool. It pops out nicely. The font is excellent. I mean, it's just so well balanced, and it's a gorgeous logo. So is the flying hand logo. Or the Screaming Hand, excuse me. Even though I think that, like, you know, what this implies now and the nuances of it are, like, not cool anymore. This is, like, the logo of people that are like, oh, yeah, I kind of like skateboarding loosely, and I like this logo, so I'm going to buy the shirt. That's where it stands right now. I wouldn't wear this fucking logo, but in terms of the design, it's really, really, really good. So I'm going to put this also in the Immortal tier. I think that it's really good. I didn't put a single thing in the solid tier. I'm just gonna not have anything in the solid tier. Okay, last but least, Silver Trucks logo. This is such a horrible one to end on, but what a boring, piss poor excuse for a logo. I couldn't conceive of anything more lifeless than this. Besides maybe the mini logo, this is actually one of the worst logos in skateboarding. The mini logo M with the star, like mini logo and then military, and that's the aesthetic they're going for. The mini logo army. But yeah, Silver, just boring as fuck. Was never really cool. The only reason Silver was even remotely cool is because they paid a bunch of sick riders. They had like Nyjah, P-Rod, and Sheckler, and whoever else. The logo was never good. The fact... You know that it's a bad logo when they write an S and then have to write another S next to it to spell it out. That's a bad fucking logo. Put that shit in row 6. All right, guys. I think that's going to wrap it. I hope that this was a nice little enjoyable traditionalist gifted hater style video. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.